Alright guys, welcome back to another Relab Life episode. Now, in the previous episode, I explained to you what the whole design sprint process is like at a very high level when we do it here at Relab. So one of the things that is very important during a sprint, or just even in general product design and also UI and UX design, is a user testing component to it. So whether you're at an early stage of a design process or towards later, pre-launch or even post-launch, it's always valuable to run user testing to make sure that you're on track, because ultimately the market, the users will tell the truth. So really what you want to get out of this is an honest opinion and feedback, what's working, what's not working. Therefore, you'll be able to tell, and not just you, by the way, so the whole business, the customers, their stakeholders, they'll be able to tell whether you're doing the right thing or not. At least that minimizes the risk of you developing a feature or a component that is unnecessary from a user's point of view. So what I want to do here today is pretty much run you through how to run a user testing successfully, and I think the version that I'll do here today, keeping it in line with the whole design sprint theme, is to how to run it based on the sprint book. And I'll add a little bit of Alvin's take on it as well during this video, okay? So guys, I guess one of the most important thing that I've learned throughout time running user testing is that you need to have a clear structure around it, and if anything, something that is logical for the users or the testers, that it's just a natural conversation between you and them, with in the right environment, that it's not like them thinking that they're being tested, but in fact they're helping us to improve this design or this product that we've been working on. So they're really doing us a favor. I won't go through, the things to prepare and the tools to use in this video. We could do that another time, but I'd like to go through pretty much the 5-act interview, as they call it in the sprint book, in terms of what you need to do throughout the user testing. So act number 1 is a friendly welcome. Pretty much when you meet a new person, and most likely this tester would be someone that you don't know, right? So you want to make sure that the environment is pretty comfortable for the both of you, and obviously you need to control that situation because you're the facilitator instead of the tester themselves. So you'd be sitting next to them, and you wanted to make sure that you welcome them and kind of remind them of why they're here, or ask them, do they know why they're here if someone else organized it instead of yourself, just to make sure that they know what the purpose is, and that if they're not being tested, although it says user testing, but they're not being tested, they're helping us test the product. And I guess another typical friendly welcome is just pretty much asking them whether they've done anything like this before. If they have, how was that experience? If they haven't, then kind of explain to them what to expect and just make the whole situation relaxed. The second act is about putting context into the customer and yourselves. So it's called the contextual questions. So the context questions is pretty much you trying to get to know each other very, very quickly. I know it sounds a bit odd, but it's for you to have a natural conversation about, what do you do in your typical role on a daily basis, depending on what the test is all about and who this person is and who are we testing. But it's just a casual get to know each other, before we reveal the prototype or go through the prototype, the website or the app that they're about to test, we get to know them and their needs and their roles. So that is very important. And your team in the background taking notes on this. Remember, this whole thing is streamed, or the team is watching from another room. They'll be able to get to know the persona as well. They'll be able to get to know the needs, the behavior, what are the goals of this person based on the role. And typically that's also clear already during the sprint because we know who we're testing and we know which type of user we're inviting. But act number 2 is context questions. Act number 3 is actually, when you actually reveal the prototype, whether it's an actual website that you're about to test, or it's a work in progress that you're about to test, but it's the time when you bring up the prototype, whether it's a mobile app or whatever it is, to the user, and that's when they're actually getting first impressions out of it, but you haven't actually asked them to do anything yet. So what you want to do in that situation is pretty much explain the accuracy level of this website or this app. If it's in progress, sometimes, in a design sprint situation, usually the prototype may not be as functional as it needs to be, or there might be inaccuracy in data, or it's not presenting the actual type of images or whatever it is, or content. You need to explain all of that so they get an idea of what they're seeing. It's not a real product, or it is a real product that we're about to improve, or it is a product that is in progress, but we wanted to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So try to put that into their situation and try to explain that to them before we move on to the next act. Act number 4 it's called the tasks, or I like to call it the scenarios. So the scenarios or the tasks is pretty much when you get the user to do certain tasks to achieve a certain goal that we already know that the user would like to do. So for example, in an online shopping situation, one of the goals might be to receive the item securely on time. So because we're trying to achieve that goal, then let's create a situation or a scenario that we would be able to ask the user to take us through his or her process leading into that goal. So for example, let's imagine that you're about to purchase an item for your friend's birthday, so you're trying to buy a gift in this website. Take us through that process, and please explain to us as you go through, please explain to us what you're thinking and how you're feeling about it. So something like that, for example, we'll be able to leave it to the user and not try to direct them too much and not be prescriptive at the same time, but allow them to be as natural and as relaxed as they would typically do it. So sometimes it depends on how familiar they are with the product. You can get various type of, level of understanding on the product or the website itself. So these are the type of tasks that you would take them through, and then as you go through, you may ask some questions, but try not to interrupt their process to make it as real as possible. And act number 5, which is the last act based on the sprint book, is for you to do a quick debrief. So what does that mean? The quick debrief is pretty much for you to kind of like recap what has happened and summarize it, and get the user or the tester to help you summarize what they felt so far. This is the part where you can sometimes ask really big questions and I guess objective type of questions as well. So for example, if you could do anything in this product, if there's no blockers at all, how or what could we do to make sure that this product becomes one of the most important thing in your day-to-day life? That type of questions. But this is also an opportunity for you to be able to ask them what other products or what other websites or apps that you use on a daily basis. Can you think of the 3 to 5 most important websites in your life that you go to it every single day for whatever reason it is, whether it's work or life or social or whatever, those type of questions. And then from there, you kind of get a summary version of what you've run through throughout the 5-act interview or the user testing. And one last thing, and this is Alvin's 6th act, is you pretty much thank them for their time, and this is where you give them their reward. And usually with the user testing, we would have some sort of an incentive, whether it's a voucher, a movie voucher, a shopping voucher, a gift card, or whatever it is. We've just done one where it wasn't a voucher, but it was a carton of beer because of the persona that we're dealing with, and that's pretty much a reward to them. So this is where you hand over those type of stuff and pretty much thank them for their time because they've done, I guess, a really important part as part of this whole redesigning or design process. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for this one, but hopefully that was valuable to you, most importantly. But other than that, I'd love to hear other people's version as well if you've done something like this before. Okay, thanks guys, I'll see you in the next one.